So something I wanted to do was ask you some kind of almost like quick fire things about stuff people expect to be in 5e and what it's like in FiveEvil. These almost
Oh
could be
yeah,
yes or no, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's start with things. Will people roll a d20?
They will absolutely roll a d20. There will be lots of d20 rolls in Five Evil. Count on that.
Okay, cool. What about armor class? Is armor class in FiveEvil?
Armor class is not going to protect you. That's not in Five Evil.
What about hit points?
Hit points are in Five Evil, but not as many as you might like.
Okay, so straight on from that is, do you level up and get more hit points?
Nope.
No.
No.
Do
There's
you
no
get
leveling up and nothing,
no
nothing
leveling up?
along those lines. No,
What else? What?
there are some optional rules for getting better at surviving if you survive some stuff, but that's not the focus of the game. Leveling up
Like
is, yeah, leveling up isn't going to happen.
that doesn't really happen in horror movies, does it? Really, where people level up? Um, what
It
else?
happens kind of between horror movies. If you have a
Okay,
first one and then a second one, compare Ripley and Alien to Ripley and Aliens. We
okay,
can model something along those lines, but yeah.
cool. What else is a really important thing that I was going to ask you? So, how does it work in FiveEvil if you have initiative and a turn order? Uh, it's two. This is a rubbish quickfire question. Uh, how does initiative work in FiveEvil?
All right. So
Because
in Five Evil, initiative doesn't exist. And to take a step back from that, combat doesn't exist. In Five Evil,
whoa,
the combat system of 5e just isn't there. The combat is gone and it's replaced by something called terror encounters. When you're in a terror encounter, you don't have that reliable structure that you might be used to from a combat encounter where you roll initiative and everyone takes their turn. In a terror encounter, everything's kind of mixed up, everything's a bit chaotic. Every time someone puts their hand up to do something, the horror that's surrounding them gets an opportunity to do something back. Not every time, but a lot of the time. And there's a lot more chaos and there's a lot more confusion. You can kind of hold just one thing in mind when you're caught up in a terror encounter, and everything else is out of your control. So if you're used to 5e, when you have a combat situation, you slow down, you zoom in, and you can manage all of those details because they're so important. In Five Evil, what happens is everything spins out of control and you're desperately trying to hold on because all of those details are really important in the wrong way. You're in big, big trouble.
this was the thing, and I'm going to have to watch myself that I don't go on and on about this and we talk about it. The idea that when you're, this is from the game we played, when you're facing that big sort of final horror encounter, when you're, it's clearly the climax of the story, and then you realize that basically the big baddie or the thing that you're battling, every time you do something, every time a character does something, it's very likely that your opponent is going to do something. You suddenly go, oh, like we absolutely have to either sort of work together or someone is going to have to make a massive sacrifice to kind of to get from A to B. You know, if we want to in some way destroy this creature or get out of the situation we're in or just survive, we're either going to have to plan like crazy, and it is, and that's so cinematic and so like I keep talking about horror cinema. I haven't read a lot of horror literature, so I'm a bit out of my depth on that. But yeah, it's certainly very like these big climactic scenes where, you know, it's like you throw the petrol can in the air and I'll shoot it with my last bullet, and we'll hope that, you know, the monster it can't split its attention, you know, to stop us. Kind of that kind of stuff is just built in, and I absolutely loved it. It was so amazing to go, oh, it's doing this thing. Really cool. Yeah, very
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, we
Cool.
really kind of stripped down all of those big encounters because the detail of that might sound like a combat encounter that you're used to, where you could have a big monster miniature on a map and you're moving people around. But the experience that we have in play is so much more stressful and chaotic because you never quite know what's coming next. And there's so little that you can hold on to with confidence in there. You hold on to those few things really, really tightly, and you just kind of hope that the rest is going to work out in your favor. And that's part of the goal of what we're trying to achieve with FiveEvil, is to give people a taste of that kind of chaos and pressure in the format of the game, because that mimics the tension and the upset and the confusion of a terror encounter in a story or in a film.
It really works. It really works. It's so exciting, so cool. Because I suppose what you don't want is, when you mention maps and miniatures, is a big miniature in the middle of a battle map with 4 player characters just wailing on the creature, each taking turns to knock hit points off it until it's dead. That's not the logic of horror movies. We can do a whole other show about what is that the logic of D&D. So that's the logic of. Is that the logic of anything else? I don't know. That's not what we're here to talk about. But fascinating stuff. No, I'm really excited. I think it's a really interesting idea to take these things that people are used to and just mess with them. I think is very exciting. I think it's a really interesting time as well, where I think people are ready for a bit of that with 5e, just doing something really quite radical with it. It's an exciting project.
Yeah.
Super cool.